Hey guys, welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Joe Organa.
And I'm Ian Carlos Crawford. And joining us today, we have two special guests. He is a actor, producer.
Johnny Sibilly. Sorry.
And she is journalist and former editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue.
Versha Sharma. Hi, guys.
Hi. I'm so happy to have you both for our first recording. Versha, I know you especially have the same brainworms that I do about this show.
Yeah. We have done nothing but exchange memes on Instagram for the last month. So
that's how I got Joe, because Joe and I were friends already, but he also was doing that. And I was like, okay, I think Joe will want to do this with me.
Yes, I'm deeply mentally ill over this show. That's all I think about.
Yeah. So Versha, I'm going to call on you first. How did you get into it?
I'm pretty sure it was gifts on Tumblr that I saw a couple days after the premiere. I'll be honest. I know a lot of people are like huge book fans coming into this. I had not read the books before. I've read them now. So I really didn't know much about this show at all. But after the first two episodes premiered over Thanksgiving, it was a couple days later, and I saw people start to share a ton of stuff from it online. And I was like, obviously, I have to watch this show. And I watched it, and I was immediately hooked. The next day after watching it for the first time, I bought the book Heated Rivalry, and I read it in one day. And then I rewatched the episode. So the obsession was immediate.
Yes. I love that. I used to work at Barnes & Noble, and I'm like still friends with some like coworkers, and I didn't realize the book sold out so much it went out of print.
Yeah,
which is wild.
I had to get the ebook. Yeah, I don't have the hard copies yet.
Yeah, they said that there's been one day since the show came out that they did get a shipment, and in that day it was like gone. They said they just like put a box at customer service and it was gone. So that's pretty wild. Johnny, I don't know how you got into the show. I know you do love it too. I just don't know if you're as intense and unhinged as we are.
Maybe not unhinged, but I do love it intensely. I think I was just scrolling on Twitter before it had premiered, and I watched the scene. They had like the scene of them after they work out where they're just looking at each other, and then the water bottle situation. And I was like, now what is this, honey? I want to watch this show. So I saw like Crave. I was like, oh, I don't think that's here. Anyway, then the actual Heated Rivalry like official account followed me on Instagram, and I was like, wait a second, what is this? And then it said HBO, and I was like, oh my God, it's coming to HBO. So I like the day it was premiering, like I put it in my head and I watched it the day it premiered. And I had like a couple gays with me, and I was like, you guys, I saw a clip of this on Twitter. We got to watch. I think there's going to be gay shit going on, because I had no idea it was a book. I had no idea. And immediately just hooked right off the bat.
It's funny because I figured we would all feel this way, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's mostly smut up top and then gets good. But I feel like it's just sexy romance. I feel like it's good more than just how hot it is immediately, right?
Yeah. Agreed. Totally agreed. It's good from the start.
Yeah. It's just like there's a lot of like sexual stuff at the front, which I have no problem with that, right? Like, also, Johnny, I can't wait when you're on season 2 to be like, oh, we had her on.
And if that's
I might have aged out. I might have aged out, but yeah, no. It's
every
funny.
time they called Scott Hunter old, I'm like, oh God.
I know. It's like, geez. I feel like I'm catching a stray, and I'm not even in this. It's funny. While we were watching, I was with other gays, and we were watching the show, and you know how like the smuttiness of it. It almost feels like, it felt like nostalgic in a way, like when I first watched Queer as Folk, the original, and being like, wait, I feel like this is bad. Like this is. This is bad. Like I was watching it through that kind of like the like cis straight gaze of like what my mom would think. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to push past that discomfort and really lean in, because we deserve this elongated sex scene. You know what I mean?
I am one of the many people who has talked to my therapist about this show. My therapist is a gay man, and he had the same reaction. Like, I talked to him again, like after the first 2 episodes, and I was like, have you heard about this show? Have you seen it? He's like, yeah, I saw it. And I was kind of wondering, like, who is this for? Who's the audience? And I was like, me and many people. But then later on, further into the season, he got the point of the show. And he said, he's like, I think it was my internalized homophobia that was like turning me off on all the sex in the beginning, because I just felt uncomfortable. So I think that's a totally valid point.
I actually had a friend who is a porn star who was like, yeah, but it's just sex. Like, we can just watch porn. I was like, no, but it's more than that.
It's so much more than that. I think people are just not used to seeing this sort of like queer sexualization on TV. And it's so beautiful. And it's part of a beautiful story. But that first episode, because you don't know the whole story, it's kind of jarring for a lot of people.
But also, it is beautiful. Like the sex, it's like, it is not just sex. I rewatched the episode and I thought, there's so many like little nuances in the way that they're having this dance sexually that is like so specific to what they have to do, right? When they're having this sex that they're having, that is so beautiful and so kind of also unique in a certain way, you know, like, oh, the quiet tones of like, you know, the breathing, like even that scene that I was just talking about when they're like exchanging the water bottle after the workout, during the workout, the breathing, like there's just so much like foreplay in that that is like, it's not just sex. It's actually like that banter, that beautiful dance that we do when we are in sexual situations with people.
And especially not even, I feel like it's so different how often we hook up now as opposed to when this takes place, where like there wasn't Grindr, there wasn't like apps. At least I don't think back in 2008 there was, right? Or maybe they were just starting.
They had like Adam for Adam.
I don't think so, because it was like iPhone starting.
Yeah,
it definitely wasn't common.
So I feel like it's very different. Like, sure, it starts out as casual sex, but we see the attraction. We can feel the attraction, and I don't know. I think that is what makes this stand out just at the start. But I know, Joe, you are, but are either of you like normally romance girlies? Because I'm not. That's why I was surprised I love this so much.
I think I am. I've always been, I'm like a rom-com aficionado. Like my favorite movie is Sleepless in Seattle. And I remember devouring Red, White, and Royal Blue.
I did like that, yeah.
And just being like, oh, why isn't there more of this in the world? So I would say I would say that. Yeah.
Same. I'm a big rom-com person. Love Casey McQuiston. Was also obsessed with that book. Again, I hadn't read this book, so I'm not like reading the romance novels every day, but I have been reading romantic fan fiction online since I was 12 years old. So, you know, I'm deep in that world. I am deep in that world too.
Buffy fanfic got me through a lot of tough spots in my youth.
Same with me, but Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling is the worst. I know.
We didn't know she was the worst yet. So, yes. You know, now that you mentioned Red, White, Royal Blue, I did really like that one too. This is no hate to that, because I did like that one too. Versha, I'm not gonna lie, the book, I was a little like, it was a little long for me. Like I felt like
Heated Rivalry or Red, White,
Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Oh, I loved the book. That was like
the book was my girl. Was it a movie? It was a movie. The movie. It was like it wasn't for me in the same way, but I think it was more so because I liked the book so much. I'm like, but they've missed so much, you know, like
Yeah,
that's fair.
This is my obsessive personality. If you already haven't been able to tell 10 minutes into this, I finished that book and I read it. I went back to the beginning and I read it again. That's how much I liked the book. But like, again, no shade to the movie adaptation. I interviewed Matthew Michael Lopez. I love him.
Yes, we love him.
He did a great job with that movie. This to me just like blows everything out of the water, right? It just feels like there's not really a good comparison because we haven't really seen anything like this before at this level, I think.
So the thing that I keep comparing it to, but I think it's a mix of like, I don't know if any of you will get what I mean, but it feels, I mean, Johnny, you mentioned Queer as Folk. It feels like the indie gay movies I watched late at night on HBO when I was like 16 or 17, where like they were a little smutty, but like they were indie movies, indie actors. Some of them maybe went on to do other stuff. Some of them never did. Yeah. But I watched those movies religiously, and this somehow reminds me of a better version of like something like more, a little bit more like thought out and well written than those, but it feels very reminiscent of those type of movies.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I saw, I've been thinking about Queer as Folk too, and obviously that was like such a landmark historic show and it got a lot of buzz at the time, rightly so. But even then, I feel like what we're seeing now in 2025, 2026 with like the global positive reaction to this show is like, it's not what we saw with Queer as Folk, right? Like, thankfully we have made a lot of progress on a lot of fronts, not so much on others, but it's really interesting to me to like just compare those eras.
Joe,
Yeah.
Joe and I were talking about Pluribus
Yes.
and how this and Pluribus being two of the biggest shows of the year is like really nice in the year that we had in 2025. Having two of the biggest shows be like queer led is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't get a lot of to lead a lot. We get included every now and then, but to lead is a whole different ballpark, you know. And it's funny, I will say speaking to the actors of Queer as Folk, the first Queer as Folk, I will say the overlap is the fandom, the female fandom. Because I remember talking to one of the cast members, and he was like, the only reason that we lasted so long was because of all the women that tuned into Queer as Folk. It wasn't the gay guys, because the gay guys would take any opportunity to rip us apart and be like, that's not what we do, bah, 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 bah. And it's so funny to hear that back then, or you know, a couple years ago, and then now to see just the outpouring of love. And not to say that, you know, gay men cannot support, but I do think when you do have women like spearheading that, you know, and you see it with a lot of things. You see it with Queer Eye and stuff like that. Women are the best fans to have. No shade to the gays, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's a tale as old as time. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with slash fan fiction, but like this is what women have been doing and writing and doing it for decades. And it's interesting to me that there's a whole world of people out there who had no idea this was happening, and they're just learning about the women fandom for the first time. But yeah, I totally agree. It's amazing.
I was going to ask you about that, Versha, because it's weird that people are like, some people think it's like a new thing, but it's not.
No, it is not new at all. Exactly. It's like have you not been online in the last 20 years? Like, you've never entered a fandom space or anything like that. But yeah, I think that there's been a lot of really interesting conversations about why this resonates so much with women. There have been some reductive conversations too, unfortunately, as expected. But yeah, it's interesting.
I think of, this is a very weird reference, but on The View, when they talked about it, I thought it was interesting seeing, it was Anna Navarro and Joy Behar, and Joy Behar said, well, women like it because it's non-threatening. We just like the romance. And Anna Navarro's like, no, it's hot. I like that it's hot.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that like that could be her, and maybe Joy does when she watches a gay romance, that's what she enjoys. But Anna was like, no, I also enjoy that it's like two hot guys.
Yeah.
And
it's
that
very
was
exactly.
And Joe, we talked about this. Our experiences growing up, like we had a lot of straight friends. Like, I don't know, Queer as Folk I watched with my straight girlfriends.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I think this show resonates with everyone for a different reason. I think it's been so popular because on top of it being a queer love story, it's incredible. The acting is great. The writing is great. The storytelling is great. You really feel for these characters outside of them being gay. It's just a great love story of two people who are very dynamic, written really well with great side characters. And, you know, it grabbed people. And I think even if you told the story with two non-queer people, I wouldn't be as good. But, you know, I think the story and the writing was just so good that it would do well no matter what. It was just well done all around.
Before we get into the episode, Versha, you met someone recently from the show.
I did. Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Talk about meeting Hudson, because I'm very jealous and I want to know everything.
Wow.
It was amazing. He's so lovely. We were at the industry premiere on a couple days ago. It's the new season, obviously, is starting. So he was in New York. He went to the premiere, HBO family, all of that. But I saw him at the premiere, and I was honestly surprised he was not getting mobbed when I saw him. I mean, it was a room of like industry and industry adjacent people, so I get it. But as you've probably seen online, like they are the star of every Golden Globes party. Like everybody is obsessed with them. But he was just hanging out. So I went up and with my husband's nice encouragement, because given my job, given my work, I've met a lot of famous people. I really don't get starstruck. Like, I'm of the opinion, like they're people just like us. Right. Don't need to, build it up in any way. But I was nervous to go up to him for sure. And my husband just kept encouraging me. And then as soon as I started talking to him and introduced myself, like he was the nicest guy. I don't know if you've seen the compliment battle video that they did, Hudson and Connor did for Teen Vogue. I think it's actually one of their best joint interviews. So we started talking about that. You know, I told him what happened. He asked me if I was still bitter. I was like, yeah. And that made him laugh, which was great. But really, like, we just talked about the scene where Shane comes out to his mom, how important that is to queer Asian kids.
Yeah.
I told him this, and I'll say this on the podcast because I don't care. I'm bi, but I'm not out to my parents, who are very conservative Indian immigrants, who I mostly have a good relationship with, but I don't know if I want to give my 82-year-old dad a heart attack at this point.
Fair.
And he was like, "Oh, give me a hug," and just hugged me and was lovely, and it was great. And he was the belle of the ball that night. Like, went to the after party, everybody was all over him. He is handling the attention like so well, I think.
Yeah.
I am waiting. Johnny, you mentioned that. I think you mentioned one of the actors from Queer as Folk said that a lot of queer people can tear apart. I'm waiting for the Jennifer Lawrence thing to happen where it's like,
oh, you like the Anne Hathaway of it all. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're tired of her now.
so now we hate them. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens to everybody. I mean, and sometimes, sometimes people say things that you're like, okay, well, it is like I always say, like Billy Porter was the belle of the ball for a while, and then Billy said a couple of things that Billy shouldn't have said, or and then all of a sudden it was like, and I was like, sheesh, the one, is it 180?
Yeah.
360?
180. Yeah.
Math is hard. No, but yeah, it's always a little scary, but I love those moments where he just gets to bask in that, like, job well done. You know what I mean? And especially if he's kind of like, I've just seen videos like on Instagram of like him being so like sweet and kind, and it's not like a interview setting. It's just like someone random, and you can see that he's having a good time. And I just hope that, no matter what happens with the audiences and stuff like that, that he gets to remember that special time, because it is really nice to get treated that way,
Yeah, when I started planning this coverage, I'm pretty good at being, as you both know, the persistent gay that reaches out to be like, come on my podcast, come on my podcast. And I was like, oh crap, I'm never getting them on. Like, I was like, I can try to get them on. And then slowly when they're at like every premiere, I'm like, well, that's fine.
But you never know.
Yeah. But so getting into the episode now that we've talked about the show more as a whole, I think this is a really good intro for the two characters. Just a quiet beginning.
Yeah.
It really is. You get so much from that first scene. Like, I went back and rewatched it today. I took so many notes on this first scene. I was like, I paused it like 5 seconds in. I'm like, that tells you so much about who they are, their motivations, their backstory, just in the way they respond to each other, just in those opening lines. It's really actually incredible.
Also, one of the things that gets me the most is also just like how adorable Shane is, and people who did not clock his autism before. The fact that he extends his hand to shake at the beginning and the end of the conversation. I'm like, he is so precious. But then you see that on Ilya's face when he shakes his hand the second time before they say goodbye, and the look that he gives him is just freaking adorable.
Yeah. I think it rewards a rewatch.
It does.
Because those were things I didn't catch, the like him being on the spectrum, until my rewatch the second time after I had heard that was what he was supposed to, like, that was the way he played the character. And I was like, oh yeah, this is more apparent. And knowing Ilya, how we know him, and then going back to the beginning, you're like, oh, he's charmed by him immediately. Like,
immediately. Exactly. I think both of them deserve so much credit for like the micro expressions, like the acting that they put into it is really just impressive.
Yeah. Johnny, I'm curious what you think about it.
I think
as the actor in the
No, I agree with that. I think, sometimes when you're watching shows, you're looking for like the tropes, or like not who's the man and who's the woman, but like who's filling those character arcs and stuff like that. And it's nice to see that kind of like, I did get a sense of like, oh, okay, that's who these two are. One is more, introverted and like sweet and kind, and the other one's more like brash and like, and it's what you've seen, but it's also so specific to these two characters that really draws you in. And I rewatched it as well, and I'm so happy that I did, because I think the first time it was just kind of like, so much happening at once. But then the second time was really nice to like, get those little details and the nuances. And also, like you said, knowing that he's on the spectrum and seeing the way that he's communicating with him. And it's just like, oh my God, this is so much better now, the second time around.
I'm so charmed by him saying, "Oh, I don't think you can smoke here." Like,
yeah,
this precious little nerd.
I know.
Yeah, it immediately establishes him as someone who follows the rules and was raised by his mommy, hand in hand, and it really gives you such a great intro into Shane.
And the look he gives him, which is like, am I annoyed at you or am I charmed by this? And then it's like, okay, I'm charmed by this.
Yeah.
I love it. Johnny, you mentioned there is a lot here in the beginning. And my first watch, I was like, how much time has passed? In this first episode, it's like 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Because it's like 6 months and 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The yearning, just the yearning alone is just so palpable. And like, that's what I love too about what the direction of this show too is, like, you catch all of those little looks and glances and the breath and all the things that you're watching as a viewer, and it's building inside of you. Like, God, I want them to kiss. I want them to hook up already because I want to be there doing it for them. But it's like, it is so smart artistically to like build in that kind of way. And it feels rushed, but it also feels like we're not getting there fast enough at the same time. I love it.
Jacob can pack so much in. Sorry, Jacob Tierney, the showrunner and creator, obviously, and director. Like, I'm thinking about the intro scenes right after their first meeting where they show each other watching the other one on the ice, and just like quick seconds like that, he can tell a story. I think that's really cool.
Well, I mean, and yeah, like I remember some people were saying it was a little too slow for them, like 3 or so episodes in. But for me, it's like we're building.
I don't understand that at all.
No.
Same.
I don't get that
Not at all.
I can understand there's not a lot of plot happening, but for me, there's still a lot happening.
But
then in episode 5, it's like a shit ton of plot.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, these two characters don't see each other much in these first couple of years. It's these little meetings that they have where there is like an intense spark that you're seeing it on camera, and they're feeling it between each other, and they're trying to figure that out. And it obviously ramps up a lot later, but it's very realistic. I think for two people who just maybe feel something or have this mutual attraction, and they only get these little meetings every 6 months. It's interesting, but they're watching each other because they're both in the NHL. They're both watching each other play. They're being put against each other by the media. And so that's, again, bringing them back together. And it's realistic, and it's a slow burn, which is so much more satisfying when it pays off.
I think it's also such a smart way of telling the story, because you are with them as they are versus, a lot of shows, we get a lot of exposition right away.
Yeah.
So it's like, explain. Whereas this feels like feel. Then we explain, because now we're invested. Now we don't know what to do. Now it's not just a hookup. Now it's, we have feelings. And as the audience, then we too also have feelings 4 episodes in. And I think that's so exciting. Like, all of I love in the first episode how there is so much jumping around, except for when it's just the two of them in those moments. Like when they're finishing at that workout and they're drinking that water bottle, that lasts forever. And that's something storytelling wise is so sweet, because like it does feel like it's lasting forever when you're in those first moments with someone in that kind of way, especially in the beginning of like your gay life, before you've ever done anything, and you're kind of always chasing that high that you had that first time. So just sitting with them in that moment, just like, I want to be here forever.
Yeah.
Because Joe, wasn't it you that told me they're like, what, 17 in the beginning?
Well, yeah, I think they're like 18 or something in the beginning.
18.
Yeah. So they're young, they're experiencing these things for the first time. And like Johnny said, it feels real. Like that's the way it feels. So when I think back to high school, those are the memories I had in the locker room of my first experiences with another teammate or whatever. That's how it feels. It feels slowed down.
You had
it feels
experiences with another teammate?
In the
Like the
locker
locker room.
Yeah, of course. I was telling Ian, I went to an all boys Catholic school in high school,
I'm
so I
jealous.
was living my best life at that time. And
Wow.
yeah, so
Love to hear that.
maybe that's why I'm so obsessed with this show. I'm feeling a little bit like I'm sensing a little bit too much of my story in there.
Wow, I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
Johnny, because to me that only happens in like porn and
In the
fantasy.
movie,
That's not
yes.
yeah, that's not
Oh no. You should have been in the wrestling room after hours. Let me just tell you something.
Oh, you should have seen me in the locker room. I was like this with my bag
yes,
and my
same.
shirt. I'm like, no, gotta get out of here.
I have
Yeah.
a core memory of the first time I saw a guy in a jockstrap in the locker room and panicking because like I didn't know what to do with myself. And I remember being like, I have to get out of here. Oh my God, what am I doing? Like,
They're gonna clock me. They know I'm looking. They know I've seen them.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Versha, I cut you off. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, I think there is plot like right from the beginning, and of course, like character development in the first episode too. Everything that you're saying about the way that they are with each other is so spot on. But I also think in terms of the character development, like we get a conversation between Shane and his mom about the deals, about the pressure on him being the only Asian player, or one of the only Asian players, and so many people are looking up to you. Like that pressure is there from the beginning, and then you've got Ilya's phone calls with his brother and his dad, and you see how much they treat him horribly and the pressure that he feels for his family. So yeah, I mean that's all in there too.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't say that as a negative because I guess it depends on what people consider plot because there's not, I guess, like forward action. But yeah, for me, I'm like, yeah, give me character development. I mean, Versha, I know you love Buffy the way I do. Like, we would get moments of them just being friends. And those were, for me, really important moments in the show, as well as like her fighting a monster. Like
exactly. Those are some of the best moments. Those the human relationship moments. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned it, but the water bottle scene, that was, for me, that scene was what I was like, oh my God, I'm hooked. That like,
yeah. I think a lot of people feel that way. Yes.
It is so sexy without like they're just in regular gym clothes and sweaty. Like this is nothing out of the ordinary, but the way we see Shane's like eyes do the like, oop, he's looking like who's throwing us, right? Like
yeah, I had a couple of people like
looks at him.
Yeah, I had a couple of people like, do they show anything? I'm like, no. And honestly, it's better that way because that's the sex. That's like what I was saying with the foreplay. It's like sometimes you like, not sometimes, you always need the build. You need the when you see someone, the eye contact, that like it's all like building blocks to like the bigger thing, and that is, I think, what sells these relationships so well with these characters, is that you get to experience that with them.
I think you just pinpointed what bothers me about the like, oh, I can just watch porn talking point that I have seen a lot, is because it is not that. And yes, you can just watch porn. Like you said, if you want to see everything, then yes, just watch porn.
Yeah.
But this is like sexy yearning and sexy like looks. And sure, maybe some people that doesn't do it for them. But for me, I watch a lot of horror movies too. I always feel like the less we see of a monster, the scarier it is.
Yeah.
And I relate that here with like the looks and the like Shane just like catching a glimpse of his like thighs. That's hot
It's so hot.
showing us anything, right?
Yeah, and I think it's hotter than more overt stuff. And also you're getting the backstory, so there's that buildup, which makes it hotter. I mean, I think we've all had that one person in our life that maybe we yearned after, and like maybe we never had. And wouldn't it have been hotter if you did? Like, can you imagine, like, what if it worked out? That would have been the hottest.
But sometimes you do, and you're like, oh, the
Yes.
yearning was actually so much better than the actual.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yes, but in this case, it's not. And just speaking of hot and the gym scene, can we talk about the improvised more?
Is that improvised?
Yes, it was improvised. They did an interview where they said Connor just did that.
That set up their dynamic perfectly. Like,
perfectly.
Shane likes being told what to do because his mind is overworking, probably because of the autism, and also the way he was raised. His mother kind of was, a stage mom with him a little bit, and so that worked out perfectly. It shows their dynamics perfectly. Ilya feels out of control in his real life. He likes being in control with his man, and then it just worked out so perfectly. And I knew who those characters were, and I knew where they were going to be in the bedroom that moment. It was great.
I didn't know. Do you know? I didn't catch that until the second time I rewatched the first episode, and I was like, wait a minute, did he just whisper more? And I was like, ooh, he did.
Yeah.
And that is hot for some reason. I don't know why.
It
So
is
hot.
hot. Yeah.
That's a fun thing about like acting sometimes when you get like to work with directors that are like, yeah, now just like do it however, like add your little things in there, or like you do it without them asking you or telling you to do it, and then they're like, whatever that was, do that again. You know, it's like the ownership, and that's what I love about these two actors specifically. It's like I'm like, I don't want to even think about who else could have done this because it's them, you know, it's them.
Yeah. They understand their characters so well, it seems like. Yeah.
It is wild how much they seem to like fully realize their characters.
Yeah.
Which like, it's not like I would knock an actor who isn't like, it's a job, right? Like this is a job you're doing. But the way they seem to like have their own headcanon for these characters, and they've like really given it some thought. I don't know. I feel like, Johnny, I'm curious what you think about that, because it's not like you're a bad actor if you don't do that, but that is something different, right? That's not always the case.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, that's also like casting and chemistry is really important. Sometimes it's not that some actors are bad. It's just like, oh, that the chemistry is just, I'm not really feeling it with these two. Or, you know, it's just a really big name actor in something that you're like, oh, actually wouldn't have pictured them in doing that. But, you know, it doesn't knock the story or whatnot. But this felt like such a serendipitous thing where everything like kind of like lined up perfectly in that way.
Yeah. So we get all this like sexy before they even hooked up. I wanted to mention, so his brother calls him a faggot on the phone. The first time I watched it, I took it as his brother's just like an asshole who says slurs. But now I'm like, oh no, I think his brother says it because he knows, right?
I think I felt that way when, what is it, in episode 5, he says it again in person. And I'm like, oh, he's specifically using that to hurt.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just remembered my first watch not even giving that a thought. Like, oh, he's just like a mean guy who says slurs. But yeah, right. I do think it's like intentionally said.
Loaded, yeah,
definitely.
It's almost like a way of controlling. You know, it's like, I see you.
Yeah.
So
like,
don't try it. Yeah.
I see you and I'm a bad person, so I will like leverage it to get more money from you.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And I like rewatching this knowing what we know about Ilya and his family, because you can see the like pain when he talks to them and how much it sucks for him. And I don't know. I really like that. And I don't know if any of you have like, I did caretaking for my mom when she was dying, and like that is really rough. And I felt like he does such a good job of, we see that he's upset, even though he knows he wouldn't have been able to bond with his dad. Like he's more upset that he couldn't do that. And even, it is this episode when he's like, what is wrong with dad? And he's like, nothing, he's fine. Like,
It seems like maybe him and his brother both feel out of control in that relationship with their parents. And unfortunately, I think his brother sees Ilya as the one who kind of is successful, because his brother followed his father into the police. He said they're both Russian police. I think there is one, obviously, homophobia involved, and there's also his own things going on, the brother. And he mentioned that his brother does have a drug problem as well. So there's a lot happening. It's an intense dynamic. And they managed to shove a lot into like very few scenes with him and his brother, and tell a full story there.
Yeah, totally.
I was saying that to someone, one of my friends, she just got into it and she like just finished this week. So I'm like, oh, good, a new person to talk to it about. And we were talking about that, how characters that you see for maybe all of 5-10 minutes are still like super important to the story, and you remember them because of the like beats we get with them. Like the brother, I think he's only in 3 episodes and not long scenes.
Yeah.
But those are very important to Ilya, so we remember them. We remember his ex who's in one scene, you know, we remember those things. And not a lot of shows do that well. Like shows I love, like Lost and Veronica Mars, that have so many characters. I would so often while watching be like, I don't remember who this person is.
Or any of their backstory or anything. Right. Yeah, totally.
So
like Veronica Mars, I feel like I'd be like, oh, another blonde girl. I don't remember what this one does. And I love that show. No hate. I love it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I'm just so impressed with Jacob on so many levels. But the fact that he also wrote all these episodes by himself, like, holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel sometimes Marvel makes the case for like or what is it? Euphoria. I know some people feel that way about Euphoria, where it's like we should have a showrunner and a writer's room, but he really showcased that you can do it well with just one person, which is so impressive.
It's so impressive.
And
Yeah.
on like a $5 budget.
Right. Sometimes you have to do it. You have to write it yourself because you don't have the budget to do it with a room, you know?
And
Yeah.
credit to Rachel Reed, obviously, because he does
Oh yeah.
a lot of her dialogue.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just want to talk about the shower scene.
Yeah.
I need to tell you both. After I watched this, the next morning I had my straight trainer and I was like, I need to show you the butts on this show because I need us to work up to this.
Yeah.
They have motivated so many people to
So
go to the
many.
gym. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, New Year's didn't do it. We were already doing it back when we started this show in December.
Yeah, everyone's training legs. It's crazy.
The joke with us is you got to get that hockey butt. Like that's always and he was like a hockey guy and he was like, holy shit, I played hockey. I don't remember butts looking like that. But the first time I saw this scene, I was like, excuse me? Like
Yeah, I was like, now we're cooking with grease.
yeah. And I feel the thing that they do really well with Ilya is he's like more dominant, of course, clearly, but he's really good surprisingly good at reading cues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't do it right away. He's not like he just like gets it. He's like, oh, this guy is looking at me. Okay, I'm not just looking at him.
Right.
This is mutual, which can be hard to read, but it works so well here with him. We see that he's reading the signs. He's not just being like a dick. Because I've seen a misreading of Ilya where they're like, oh, but he's mean to Shane. And like, no, they're both are exactly where they want to be.
Yes.
They're also athletes. You know, if you've been in a locker room, you've been around athletes, you know that they're kind of like a little dickish to each other, you know, like that there is just this like overconfidence, like even when if you might not have it, that you kind of like, it's the banter, it's the play that sometimes can be a little toxic depending on the group that you're around. But a lot of it's well-meaning and fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that Ilya shows that he's so good at reading Shane in the shower scene, and then immediately after, right, when Shane's like, let's forget it.
Yes.
And he's like, is that what you want? I don't think that's what you want. And there's a nice parallel in the finale when they have the amazing love confession scene, and Ilya says to Shane, like, is that what you want, to be together like long term? And I love that little parallel. It's very sweet.
Even just bring it up, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah,
it's also so beautiful because I like picture Ilya not being asked many questions by many people about, is that what do you want? How do you feel? So him doing that for Shane always feels like he's doing what others wish, you know. And so sometimes when Shane wants to pry a little more into Ilya's like not ready for it because he's not used to someone caring in that kind of way. It's such a beautiful thing. And I also thought the shower scene was such a beautiful like art of cruising like vibe, because it is all in the look and the glance and the, you know, there is like that wideness between them, but it's like they're so close at the same time. And you know, I also love the difference between the two of them of like, Shane just feels a little more like, wait, no, I think we should wait. And Ilya was like ready to go, but he was like, oh, you're not ready. Okay. This your first time like doing this, you know?
Yeah. If Shane was like, let's have sex right here, Ilya would have been down.
Down. Yeah.
100%.
Joe, tell us about your locker room experiences.
Right.
Specifically mine? Or mine the scene?
Like that?
Yeah, anything like that.
I think this is not something I was expecting to talk about. I think the stuff in high school, like I said, it was an all boys Catholic school. I think there was a lot of like curiosity. We were developing our sexualities. We were developing what we were into in kind of an isolated way. There was no girls. It was just kind of guys. And I think when you have bonds, especially like teammates or like close friends, it's easy for like boys at that age to be curious, and things happen. And unfortunately, I was a little too self-aware of myself and my sexuality at that time. So I was like, oh, maybe he seems a little interested and maybe I can let him kiss me. in the locker room.
I thought you were going to say the opposite of like, I was too aware, so I was too nervous to do anything.
Oh no, I was also a horny 16-year-old. So yeah, I wasn't. You know, if someone on my soccer team, you know, wants to kiss me in the back of the cabin at soccer camp in the summer, I'm gonna let him, unfortunately. And you know, things happen, and I think that just does happen, especially like in male-dominated spaces. Men, because I think sexuality is obviously a spectrum, and I think a lot of men who identify as straight could possibly identify as bisexual if they were open to experiencing that and letting themselves explore that side. And I know for a fact some of these guys I knew in high school are bisexual, but they're married and they identify as straight, and that's okay. That's how they feel comfortable. And you know, if they ever opened to explore their sexuality more, I'd be happy for them, because I think maybe that it would bring them, not with me, Ian, I know what you're thinking. I'm just saying in general, I wish more straight identifying men were able to explore themselves without feeling like it defines them.
Right.
And I feel like this show does that, like
it helps
with that, you know,
absolutely.
Like maybe I should.
That brings me to 2 points. Versha, I wanted to say, I feel like that's why a lot more women are comfortable identifying as bi. Would you agree with that? Like, because it's kind of the same, but
we're more in tune with ourselves emotionally. We're more open to the fluidity of sexuality. Like 100%, I think so.
Because I know so many women that had like long-term girlfriends, and that was the only woman they ever dated. They never dated another woman, and then like married a man and whatever. But they're not like weird about it. It's like, yeah, I'm bi. Oh yeah, I had, you know, my girlfriend or whatever. This is the stupidest thing that comes to mind, but I think of Lindsay Lohan and who was her name?
Samantha
is
Ronson.
Samantha Ronson, yes. And like that was a really big relationship at the time, right? And you know, now she's I don't think I've ever heard her identify as bi. I could be incorrect.
No, I don't think so. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Also, just like growing up and like going to the club with my girlfriends for the first time, and all the girls are like, "Let's make out." Like even that small little act of like the girls being like, "Let's make out." I'm like, oh my God, I love the freedom there. Like, you know, can you imagine like a group of guys going out to the club and like, why don't we all make out? Like, you know,
I'd be going out way more often.
Right.
Well, that goes to like one of the things that we were saying earlier about just like sexuality at large in pop culture and how we view it and internalized homophobia. Like I never understood growing up, like 2 girls kissing or lesbians or whatever was always considered hot, right? Like that's always been considered hot. And I did not understand why 2 men kissing or hooking up did not have the same reaction, because to me it did, right?
Right.
Yeah, I love both. Let's do it all. But other people were like, no, it's different. I'm like, what's different? Like, what is different?
Yeah,
and
it's
patriarchy.
Patriarchy.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It has to do with men needing to be seen as masculine, whereas women are seen as sexual objects by the patriarchy, and so men don't feel the freedom to explore their sexuality, whereas women are given that freedom, but then they're also sexualized by men, which is
it's like that 2 girls kissing is for our pleasure, and they're also like, huh, who are you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
I was just gonna say that, Johnny, because I can't remember the guy's name. The like fashion guy that was like on Twitter would always like, he like rips apart conservatives, like the way they dress, and he's like has very specific.
The men workswear guy.
Yes.
Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah.
And I remember there was like some conservative that quote tweeted, of course, these like younger girls who were like scantily clad, like at a maybe Lollapalooza, something like that. And it was like, oh, dressing like sluts to get men. And he did a very good thread about, no, they're dressing like this for each other. Like they're not doing this because they want to like have sex with guys. They're doing this because they think each other looks hot, and that's like fun. And it is, right? Like,
they want to be cute together.
Yeah. I think about that all the time with like, I don't know, when I'm even teaching, right? I'm not trying to like be sexy, but I want to make sure I feel good. Like I want to feel good about how I look.
For yourself.
Yeah. I have a very wonderful, wealthy cousin who used to live in LA. One day she called me. I'm visiting. I stayed in their guest house, and she was like, come to the main house. I just got extensions. I need you to tell me how they look. And I was like, okay. And they were like $20,000 extensions done by the people that do the Kardashians. And they looked fucking great. And she was like, my husband, your cousin, thought that I was doing it for him. And I told him, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me because I like the way it looks.
Right.
And I loved that she was just like, yeah, I spent that money and I had it, but I didn't do it for him. I wanted my hair to look good. And that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, so we move on. They do finally have a very hot hookup. Ilya, that butt is insane. I just...
Crazy.
This rewatch, I was like, is it the lighting? But it's not the lighting.
No. Just a big fat ass.
I will say, he grew up in Texas, and I live partly in Texas, and the butts down here are just built different. Like, I don't know if it's the barbecue or the obsession with football or what it is, but
everything's bigger in Texas.
People got
including
big
the butts.
asses here.
Perfect.
Crazy.
But, so Shane mentions he has, is it this one or the next? Wait, now I'm not sure. Am I missing? Is it this one where he says he has a dildo?
No, that's the second hookup.
That's the second one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the second hookup. The first hookup is very I think that's where he bumps into Yuna going up in the hotel.
Yes, it is.
So,
that's great.
And he knows that that's his mom, right? When he
I
sees
think
her.
so. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because it's so weird to be like
together, at the rink.
Oh, right. Because it's like, I'm going to have sex with your son. Bye.
I know.
This is also, I feel like the first, like, even when they're still in the locker room and he's like, if I come up to your room, will you open? Or he's like, I might open. And he's like, I might knock. I thought of like all the gays that I've talked to after this show came out. And they're like, it's just not realistic. It just doesn't happen that way. And I was like, actually, yes. And I feel like it does happen that way. I feel like so many people are so scared to flirt and to have that little banter back and forth. Like if I said I might open and someone said, well, I might knock, I'd be like, let's do this right here, right now. You know, it's like the show's actually teaching you, like, if you don't feel like it happens, maybe try it this way. Maybe, have a little flirty banter and not, be so scared. Like, I just thought it was perfect.
It was beautiful. And I think it goes well with these characters because Shane is very trepidatious around sex. He's probably a virgin. He's autistic. He's not used to these sort of interactions. So I think Ilya is very forward, but he's also like very respectful of Shane. I think it was really well done.
Yeah, Ian, what you were saying about people misinterpreting Ilya as mean to Shane, it's like, if you watch that first kiss, he is so gentle and tender with him, and it's still really hot, but he's easing him into it. And it's just like, from the beginning, literally, he's been doing that with Shane.
And I feel like consent is important, but it's also important to be like, yes, this person is consenting. So like, shut up. Like, I don't know.
And you know what's the biggest, like, he's not an asshole is the fact that, because when I watched, a lot of times you watch things with your own preconceived notions. I was like, oh, he's not gonna let him finish. He's not gonna let Shane finish. And then he did, and he's like, I would never leave you like that.
Oh.
And he swallowed to be, for another detail that I'm like, now that is not a mean person right there.
Right. Yes. First time, exactly.
First time, hello?
Yeah.
And Johnny, there's been so many people I've seen say like, oh, this is not like blah blah. I don't have any experience in a locker room or playing hockey. Yes, everyone has different sexual experiences. Like I see that critique a lot about this, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't relate to I don't always have the same experience with gay shows I watch, but I still like them.
Yeah, but also like we watch so many straight shows that we don't have experience. Like all of us, we're not going to Twitter to say, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I'm not a mobster. I've never been, killed someone like the Sopranos. I don't cook meth like Walter White. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you talking about? That's not, it's just, I always say these days people will look for a reason, whether it be moral or otherwise, to just be a hater. And I'm like, I miss the days where girls were just haters with their full chest and didn't need to find a reason. I don't see, like, even when I did the reboot of Queer as Folk, and that was,
by the way, rough. I love Steven. Steven is so sweet. The showrunner.
I love Steven, a true Buffy fan, But I remember reading the comments and people were like, they're doing drugs on this show and everyone's terrible. I don't know people like this. I'm like, but there are people like this. Like, just because you don't, good for you. Good for you, girl.
Right.
You know? But yeah, it is kind of that like bean soup theory. I don't know if you've heard of that, where it's like someone's like, "Oh, I'm making bean soup," and the comments are all like, "What if you don't like beans? Keep scrolling, girl. I don't know what to tell you."
I reference that TikTok all the like bean soup. I like having a fandom podcast. I get a lot of those types of comments, and usually it's not from the followers are always so nice. They like get my vibe. It's always like some rando, right? And it's always to be mad at me, to misinterpret something, or, well, I don't even like this. And it's like, well, then why are you commenting on it? I don't know what to tell you. There's been, I don't know if any of you have seen this. There's been a couple people I've seen saying, who clearly have not watched the show, saying it's Russian propaganda.
Oh my God.
Oh, I got one of those comments on a video that I made about the show. I was like, wait, what?
Like, clearly they did not watch the show.
Right?
No. Imagine how much more. Someone was like, imagine how much more important it would have been if Ilya was from Ukraine. I was like, babe, the books were written. I don't know what to tell you. Like, we can't just go back and change it for the show. Like, what?
People are crazy and unreasonable, and the parasocial relationships that people have. So I posted my pictures with Hudson, and I said what we talked about. And one of the things that we talked about was queer people in Russia watching the show. Because quick backstory, like that was literally my beat like 10 years ago. Actually, when the Olympics was happening, I was covering gay rights in Russia. Like I went to Moscow. I've been to like a clandestine queer club. Like I've been in this world for a long time. So it's actually, this storyline is actually really meaningful to me. But I posted the picture with Hudson and said we talked about that. And somebody responded, "Did you ask him what his position is on the war in Ukraine?" And I was like, what? Like, oh my God.
I would have loved if that was the first thing you said to him. Just beelined it for him. No introductions.
I love Heated Rivalry. What do you think about the war in Ukraine?
Like, oh my gosh.
What the hell? Yeah.
I get those sometimes when we mostly covered Buffy from the start of this podcast, and I would get people being like, well, you didn't ask them about Joss Whedon. I'm like, I'm not going to make them uncomfortable. Why would I do that? We know he's an asshole. We don't need, I don't need them to they put out statements. I am not doing gotcha. Like, what?
Right.
That seems like we would be assholes if we did that, right?
Yeah, I think the only Russian industry benefiting from Heated Rivalry is probably Russian porn, gay Russian porn. I think if that exists, that's maybe their numbers are boosted, but that's probably it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So we see both of them watching each other's like interviews, which I'm very charmed by. Yeah. I like that Shane, who we can assume is never late, is late because he's watching Ilya be like a pompous asshole saying, "I never said 40 goals, is liar, told you that, I said 50.
Yeah.
And then he does a wink, which I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
It's hot.
The wink is hot. Yeah.
We get the game. So much of the hockey just goes right out of my brain. I'm like, we're playing a game.
Somebody said, typical TV shows fade to black for sex, but Heated Rivalry fades to black for hockey.
Also, someone was saying, they're like, oh no, season 2 means they're probably going to have a bigger budget, which probably means we're going to have to watch more hockey. So funny.
They included just enough hockey.
I think so too.
Right.
I agree. I didn't need more. I don't know.
No.
So then we get the mom asks about Ilya, and she says like, fuck him right up the butt.
Him right up the butt. Okay,
Mom.
I
love the dad's reaction. He's like, Yuna.
Yeah, right.
What? Like, yeah. Great.
I love the foreshadowing.
Shane smirking. Yeah. He has that little smirk because he's thinking about it. About it.
Yeah. Another meme I saw was like Yuna told her son to fuck Ilya and then was surprised when her autistic son followed the directions. Like,
that's a good point.
That's really good.
Yeah. We get their press day, which I think is very important for their relationship.
Very important.
Yes.
The parallel that I hadn't even thought of when I watched the finale the first time of like the feet touching. I was like,
so sweet.
So sweet.
And also like that is so many people's first time, like, when you like someone that you're not supposed to like, or like, and you're sitting next to them in class. I remember I was in drama class in 7th grade, and I was sitting next to someone who became one of my best friends, and we like our jeans were touching, and then we just kept pushing each other, and like I just remember like I like my whole body went into like spasm, you know. And another thing that I loved about the press conference was that it kind of shows the difference of people in relationships sometimes. Like they're not together, but you kind of like see how there's always one in a relationship that's more talkative. That's the one I'm going to lead the plans. I'm going to lead the conversation a lot of times. And there's the quieter one, but the quieter one actually does have so much to say. And it usually comes out when they're together. So I love, you know, Ilya just being like, whatever he said.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was such a sweet, like they're in a relationship, even though they're not in a relationship.
Yeah,
it
was
also
really
shows
sweet.
that Shane is really good at reading Ilya as well.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, which I think is really important because we saw that Ilya is good at reading him.
Yeah.
And so it's important to have a scene where, Shane. And also, it is wild that journalist asked Ilya, who is not a native English speaker, the longest English question language.
Yes.
I didn't even follow it.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, and right before this scene, we get Ilya speaking on the phone with both his father and his brother. He has that difficult conversation,
Yes.
and I think maybe they're inferring that a lot is on Ilya's mind. And in those conversations, you see a complete and utter lack of respect and support for Ilya. Ilya is supporting them. He has no one to support him. So to go into that press conference scene and see Shane support Ilya, probably the first person to support him like that in a while, take on that conversation. And then with that little touch under the table at the end, that had to have been a spark of emotion for Ilya on the inside, an endearing moment to him for Shane, maybe the beginning of his real deeper feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like after that is when Ilya starts upping the flirt.
I agree, yeah.
Like we get them on the ice, and when they go back to sit, and he's like, well, I didn't get drunk. And Ilya goes, I'm just so charmed by that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
This brings me to one of my other questions. Shane mentions, I love the, like, I have a thing, a dildo. Ooh, what color is it? Like, Ilya is really good at ribbing him, kind of being a dick, but also he does want to know. Like, I think that, like, those are two, he is ribbing him, but also he does want to know. Like, he wants to know what it looks like, right?
The look on his face when Shane first says it, he's like, he freezes for a second. He's like, what? Yes.
I froze too. I was like, a hemorrhoid? What does he have? Like,
he can't have sex, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
not the thing.
But so this brings me to the question that I've been thinking about. Do we think Shane, because clearly he's neurodivergent, so he wouldn't think of things in like the like normal coming out, your trope or whatever, it might be a little different. Do we think he thought of him, he was like, had it in the back of his head that he was gay, or just like didn't think of it, but also had a dildo?
I mean, at this point, they had already hooked up, and it was like probably at least 6 months ago, right? And so I think maybe he started exploring that side of him, and I think even in your first experience, you kind of are starting to immediately figure out what you're into and what you're liking, and so maybe he was just like, all right, let's practice and let's see what's going on downstairs,
right? And like a lot of my neurodivergent friends, like when they like something, they're like, okay, I'm gonna explore all the things that this entails and like look up like, okay, what should I get? How should I explore this? How should I, do this better? Or, there's like a more of a cool clinical way of looking at like how I can be the best at what I like,
Yeah. He seems like the type to research.
Yeah. Yes. The research. Yeah.
Like maybe what's the best one to start out with? What's the best one to work out like?
A notebook on gay sex, I'm sure.
And I like that we get consistently that Ilya also thinks Scott Hunter is hot. Like I really appreciate that.
Love.
Yeah.
Because also that feels real, right? Like I don't know. I mean, especially at least the relationships I'm always in, where it's like, that's the hot guy we both have a crush on, or like,
Did we all clock that? I mean, I didn't read the book, so did we all clock that Scott was gay?
I didn't.
Not the show. I didn't clock it until episode 3. No.
I think when he clocks their T at 1221, that makes me think immediately, because obviously as gay people or queer people, we're kind of sensitive to it and we kind of see it more than a straight person was. So I think at first I thought like, why are they introducing this hot guy? Obviously I'm noticing him. And two, why is he clocking their T so quickly? So
right. And when he said your boy,
Yes.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He was
At
so
that
messy.
point-
He's so messy, Scott
That's a
Hunter.
good point. Yeah. At that point, I was like, okay, he knows something. He's seen
That-
He
something.
does. Yeah.
Yes, I was gonna say that is the point when I'm like, oh no, now he knows, because I don't think a straight guy would have picked up on the cue of a closeted gay guy being weird about you possibly referring to someone as that in a way that
Right.
could be their partner.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, right? I think a straight guy would be like, why are you being weird?
Yeah.
Right.
And like straight guys do say your boy. That is a thing, right?
Mhm.
Like, so it's
Yeah.
not wild for him to say that, but the fact that he corrects because he picks up on it, I think. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe he doesn't know
agree.
that they're fucking, but he picks up that Shane has some kind of feelings.
I don't know.
And
He
he's
had to
Yeah,
have heard
like a-
something from 1222
like, yeah.
because they were not being subtle. They were pretty
Not
loud.
subtle at all. Yeah. Just to-
Yeah, those
Yeah.
names were getting thrown out of those mouths.
They
like
were.
I was like, okay, quiet it on down there,
Scott up
guys.
against the wall, like
Yeah, I was
you
gonna say,
know.
he's like, did I hear my name?
I would have been.
Hollander.
We meet Hayden, his friend, who I am very charmed by.
Yeah,
His,
me too.
like, dopey straight friend who's just like, come over for steaks. I didn't know what a wag was. Did we all know what a wag was?
Oh,
Wife
I
and
knew what it
girlfriend.
was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big soccer fan, so I know the yeah.
I didn't know. My producer editor Ashley Hullett, her podcast Why Are We Like This is also covering Heated Rivalry, and I was on for their episode 1, and I was like, I tried Googling wag, and that did not help because it was like dog food brands, and I was like,
Yeah.
someone tell me what that means. Like, I don't understand.
There used to be one of those reality shows about wags. Was it
Yeah.
like Basketball Wags or something?
Basketball wives.
Basketball
yeah,
wives. No.
Yeah,
Oh, huh, all right. But
I
I'm
hate-
charmed
Hayden is adorable. I agree. I think he's
Yeah.
very cute.
he's so
because
cute.
he's just like nice, and he's like his friend, and he's
Yeah.
clueless.
and also like a fan of his teammate. You know, like
Yes.
the fact that his wife's like, oh, she's gonna be so excited to be the first wag to be able to feed you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my god, that's so sweet.
Right, because that means he's talked about him a lot to
Totally.
his wife.
Mhm.
So it's like, and I don't know, I survived my 20s so much on straight guys like that as my friends, where it's like they're just kind of like dopey and nice, and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
people would be like, oh, they're probably closeted. It's like, no, they're just like
No.
friendly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Exactly. Sometimes people are just nice. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
they're gay.
Agreed.
Doesn't mean they want to fuck you. Like,
Right.
just cool, nice person.
Nice person, yeah.
We then meet Svetlana, who I
Love
love.
Svetlana.
Gorge,
Love
gorge,
her.
gorge, gorge.
Our queen.
Yes. Versha, I want you to talk about this because clearly I'm a cis dude, but I feel like they do a good job with the women on this show too, like showing them support, right?
They do a fantastic job. Like Svetlana, Rose, Elena, they are all amazing characters and just like perfect support, I think, for their friends and counterparts. And I love that. I absolutely love that because you don't get that a lot in regular TV shows. For the most part, there's always something with the women characters, especially when they're written or directed by men. So
Yes.
again,
Yes.
like, kudos to Jacob for like seeing that and developing them and making them such stellar characters because
Yeah, they're so strong. They're so
Yes.
like, oh, honey, I don't need you. I'm
Yeah.
just here. Like, I love you. I love you. And I want to be here to support you. But it's not like even that scene with Rose. I know that's jumping ahead, but like, I almost like expected that kind of like very American trope of like heartbroken girl. And she's like, oh no, baby, I'm gonna be fine, but
Yes.
I want to be here for you. I love this for you. You know, that was so refreshing to see.
And a couple people have said this with Svetlana. I guess Svetlana is the one that gets the most screen time of the like female friends. And she kind of lasts the longest as not quite knowing where she stands, but she's still clearly okay with it when we get that subtle, when she says it in episode 5, when she's like, I hope he's as good to you, or he knows how lucky he is. That like, as you said, Johnny, an American show or like a lesser written show, no hate, but I don't know if any of you watched the show Love Victor. It's cute, sweet. Okay, Versha, do you remember that first season? He is dating the girl that he is like, is his beard the whole season.
right.
And I'm like, why is this the whole season of a gay show? Like,
Right. Yes. It's
why
too
are we?
much. It's too much.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
wasting time. We know this is going to go nowhere. So
Yeah.
this show didn't do that. And I love that. Like,
Whereas like Ilya's first hookup with Svetlana that we see is him staring at the checks from Shane, right? Like I
Mhm.
love that little moment too, where
yes.
he's like, what the fuck? Like what is this?
And he doesn't say it out loud, but I would assume he more identifies as bi. So it's like, yeah, sure. He's still like, and she's more of a like, even at this point, they're like the line of like, is it a familial love or a romantic love is like a little bit blurred with them.
I know. I thought it was so important too to show because I feel like sometimes when gay men or bi men that have relationships with women that then come out in like queer relationships or whatnot, there's like this idea that they're using women in order to mask who they are or whatnot. But I think a lot of people forget that these are actually real relationships built on trust and love and understanding that may not be sexual attraction, but there's definitely a bond that you create with certain people. And it's kind of like you let them down in a way because you weren't fully honest and giving of your whole self. But I think what the show does so beautifully is that it shows the nuance of that kind of relationship and the importance to that male character and even the female character of like needing each other in that kind of way and not being able to move into a new kind of definition of what their relationship is.
Yeah. And to your point, and with moving ahead, in his episode 5, when he's like, I have no one, and then he's like, no, I have Svetlana and I love her. I really appreciated that he like took the beat, even though he's talking to no one because he's talking in Russian and Shane can't understand him. He still is recognizing like she is his best friend. She is, he loves her as much as he can love anyone who's not Shane, right? And I think that's really important because I have that, my best friend, we met, she was in 8th grade, I was in 9th grade, and she loves telling the story of her stepsister brought her as her date to this high school that neither of us went to's dance. My friend brought me as her date. My best friend Kim had a guy who she always tells us that he had a boner and she didn't want to dance with him. And there was a girl trying to dance with me that I just had no interest in. And she saw me, she like read the cue of he doesn't want to dance with her and came up to me and was like, that guy has a boner and I don't want to dance with him. Would you just dance with me and we can get away from these people? And then we became best friends. And like, that was the start of our friendship. And she's always
been
like
overcompensating the show. I don't know if you guys saw it, but that like, it's so beautiful.
Johnny, I text her to be like, can you watch this show? Because the scene where they see each other and they're like, no, I love you. I was like, Kim, that's us.
Yes.
So we go to Vegas, the rookie of the year. We see Shane wins. Love that his parents are like right there with him, like walking down the steps.
It's really their win too,
Yeah, true.
Yuna's like, we did this.
She's like, I did
it. I don't know. I know a lot of people didn't like her at first. I don't know. She's a momager, right? Like,
I love her. I love her. I stand.
Yeah.
And like, he needs that. I feel like he needed that. He needed same way.
For sure.
Ilya telling him what to do works for him. I feel like his mom telling him what to do for his career is good for him, right?
Absolutely.
I don't think she's being mean or anything.
I also loved it being the mom versus the dad.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I love her. I think she's great.
I do too.
And I feel like sometimes, I mean, I know 3 of us have parents that are, not white. I feel like non-white moms tend to be a little bit more of the like when my mom passed, I was like, my dad doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have my mom telling him what to do. Scott, we get the scene with Scott where he's like, your boy. And he's like, oh, what? He leaves to go up because we saw he was looking for Ilya. He goes up to the roof. I want to talk about this roof scene real quick. What do we think? Because when I watched it the first time, I was a little annoyed, but then we flesh out Ilya so much and we so understand how awful everything is, even just outside of the one. So we do get the conversation showing how bad it is. But I feel like as the show progresses, we get more of how bad it is for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like on a rewatch, I get it. I don't know.
The writing is so good and subtle in this show. And the only really context we get as to why Ilya is being a little colder is he says, I'm going back home in 3 days. And Shane's like, oh, that sounds nice. And like not picking up those pieces.
Yeah.
And it's
the look that Ilya gives him after he says that is like, oh, yeah. He
doesn't want to tell him. And he's not going to tell him, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because even when they kiss, Shane does kiss him back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's one of their best kisses, I think, on that rooftop. That's a good one. It's a very good one.
Let me be the horny teen for a minute, but like the way Ilya's hands go up to like touch him is like really works for me. I don't know.
Yeah, touch starved
Same.
after this. I'm like, someone please.
I'm telling you, it is a 101 in how to be hot. You know, like it just
Agreed.
And how to hit on camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is, you know, I've been single for like 9 years, and I'm never someone who's like, oh, I need a boyfriend. Watching the show, I was like, maybe a boyfriend would be nice. I don't know.
And that's great. You know what I mean? Like that is like, I love that this romance is making people like, you know what? Maybe I do want a boyfriend, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because so much in our culture is like, I'm, you know, girl bossing it on my own. Da-da-da, I don't need anybody. It's like, it's okay to want that connection. Like I'm like, our world would be such a happier, more peaceful place if we started to put romance and rom-coms back on that pedestal that we had them on for so long, you know, in our own very specific modern way, obviously. But like, we need love, we need romance.
And happy endings.
Yes.
That was my friend that was texting me that just finished it recently. She was like, I don't think I've cried this hard at a happy ending. And she was like, I can't remember the last time a happy ending made me cry this much. And I was like, you're right. I hadn't thought about that. Like, I cried a lot, but most of it was happy.
The Notebook was the last time I think that I cried in that kind of way.
Yeah, but then they die. I feel like I still cry when they die.
Oh, you cried. Oh, yeah. God, yeah, I guess that's true. But then they die. Like everyone dies eventually.
True,
like, you know, like,
true.
But it was because if they hadn't found each other in that way, I don't think it would have been as sad, you know, like kind of like in this way that when they find each other and they do connect, it's like, had they not been through what they've been through, it probably wouldn't have resonated as much of like, you know, they're together and they're at the cottage, you know what I mean?
That's true. So Shane walks off the roof to Ilya saying his name, which was a detail I did not catch until this watch. I was like, oh, Ilya's the last one to call after him.
Yep.
Which is not something we have really seen. We knew he was into him.
Yeah.
But I feel like that drives home like, oh, he's into him, not just like, oh, he's hot, I want to have sex.
Yeah.
And before we say goodbye, we have one more special guest for everybody.
Hello, my name is Benjamin. Glad to be here.
Hi, thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking time out. Tell me about your audition process and getting the job. It sounds like a lot of people, it was like the timeline was very short in filming and knowing you got the part.
Yeah, it's usually very crunch time because by the time like sometimes the production team like clears everything and they get the go ahead to like start the casting process, sometimes you have a day, two, at best a week, and then the decision process they gotta like check with distributors, networks and stuff like that if the casting is approved, which can take a couple weeks. So I actually auditioned I think like 3 times. Like I had like a callback or 2. And funny enough, I did not even audition for JJ. I auditioned for the role of Colton. Actually blanking on the character's name. He plays with Scott on the New York team. And so basically I guess they saw something. They saw JJ's nature from that audition, and then they asked me to do a slate, which, silly me, I always forget sometimes as an actor to throw in a slate. And I did the French accent that everyone keeps talking about because I live in Quebec, so I hear it all the time. And it turns out they loved it. I show up on set. Jacob's like, "Yo, dude, you crushed it. Your accent's on point and we love it. Do that." And I was like, okay, cool.
Nice. Was the accent natural? Like, is it just like it comes natural to you, or did you have to like practice a lot for it, or just kind of like, I've been hearing this my whole life, so whatever?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of that. I didn't want it to be like mockish. Like I didn't want to get into it received as like mockery from like the Quebec community and stuff like that. So, I made sure to watch a couple videos, hit up those uncles that still struggle with the English language and just try and talk to them in English. And they're like, "Why are you talking to me in English? On parle français, s'il te plaît." Little did they know I was like studying and just wanted it to reflect purely the accent that is here, which I've been getting lovely comments. People from France, people from the United States are loving it. They find it cool and very charming of an accent. So it's fun to be able to represent that.
It really is. I mean, your first scene is you kind of like your character wording something a little like the phrasing is could be interpreted another way. And I thought it was a good job of like being funny about that, but not, like you said, not mocking it. And, you know, I have relatives in my family that English isn't their first language. You know, sometimes there's like mix ups like that. All of y'all that like do accents, none of them sound cartoony. And I feel like a lot of American actors, when they do accents, usually can come off a little cartoony.
Well, I'm glad to hear. I think it was part of the energy of the show. We really wanted to give our best. You know, sometimes these projects, they don't always. Let's just say the U.S. entertainment sphere is like much bigger than the Canadian one at times, or at least sometimes there's like more money, more networks, more people, more volume. Yeah. So when these bigger projects come around for the Canadian entertainment industry, we relish at the opportunity, and we really want to give it our best and make sure that we can prove to the world that we're just as good, you know. So it's quite awesome that we succeeded in that.
Yeah, it seems like because Canada isn't producing as much media as the US, it really gives you guys the opportunity to make something really incredible, because we were talking earlier about the show, and not just the acting is incredible, but also the cinematography, also the music, also the lighting, everything in the show seems so high quality. And we know that you guys did it on a truncated timeline and on a smaller budget, you know, for such a big show. So do you think that like plays a massive part in why we haven't been able to produce anything like this in America?
Yeah, that's a great point. I've been reading a lot on Twitter and threads and what everybody's been saying about it. And there's this one lady who kind of like nailed it. And she mentioned that today in the mainstream, we try to check off certain boxes, right? The right cast and the big shot director, big shot actors and stuff like that. And it sometimes makes for very streamlined and, dare I say, sometimes like boring outcomes, because everyone expects it and we all kind of know how it's going to play out. But when it's like a true artistic piece and, you know, it's derived from an amazing series of books and it's taken on by a team that like has something to prove, you know, I think that makes a huge difference. People then are able to really give it their best and create something very artistic rather than just shoot for numbers and streams and clicks and stuff like that. We kind of really stayed true and authentic to the art itself, the reason why we do this. And I think that's what people have been feeling. I personally really love the tone of the show. I think that it's very unique and hadn't been seen, like you mentioned, in a while. Something that just is so felt. Like Ian, I think you were saying too, like it's inexplicable. Sometimes it's just like, wow, people really, really connected to the characters, to the cinematography, to the mood of the show. And I think it's a reflection of what we peppered it with, and what Jacob had in mind with it too. So that's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioning the tone, it's also a really good balance of it takes itself seriously, but it allows itself to be funny at times. Like your first scene with like the like wording, like that's like funny, but also like Shane is panicking because he's like, what?
He's like, does he know?
Yeah. And like I do think that can be a really hard balance as well, to like have a character be funny while we're taking it seriously and it not come off like jarring. But yeah, this does a good job of that, I think, for tone.
Yeah, well, in every great tragedy, there's a bit of comedy and vice versa, right? Like the infamous theater masks, like one's crying, one's laughing. So, or one's like angry, one's like happy. So think that the two kind of live, or it's two sides of the same coin, right? So if you're able to kind of like nail it like Jacob did, then in a very serious moment, you're going to have like comedic relief, which is JJ's ass just showing up saying a bunch of nonsense, right? Which kind of like sets the viewer shoulders to like relax. It's like, oh, okay, cool. It's not that deep. It's not that serious, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was well done.
And I like the fact that the characters are allowed to be scared of coming out, but no one's really like, we don't have to like, no one's like using slurs. I mean, the one brother does, but like no one's like
Yeah.
wildly homophobic. Like in the locker room, everyone's just like chill and friendly and able to like be like fun and whatever. And that feels pretty true to like that. I don't know. Like I know so many straight guys who are just like whatever and don't care about that. And I don't know, just are like goofy.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if maybe they would be okay with being Shane being gay, but maybe they wouldn't be so okay with him and Ilya because I think they all kind of hate that guy, especially JJ.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm very excited to rip into him.
Yeah.
At any occasion, but yeah, I think it's just because I'm lucky enough to have a cousin who's on his way to the NHL. He's playing for Anaheim club team right now, and growing up going to see his games, they create such a fraternal bond, these guys, and they laugh, they cry, they win, they lose together. So it does bring them together very closely. And so anyone who kind of threatens that, challenges that, is the enemy. So, i.e., the other team, right? So I think that's where like the hatred for like any other opposing team comes from. But ultimately, we're so close that we end up accepting it. Like spoiler, but I think I haven't read that far ahead. But my character obviously has a harsh reaction at first, but then fully accepts Shane. So I think it goes to show that, like Joe, you're saying, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Like, we're all human. We all deserve love. And I don't think it should matter where you swing, because at the end of the day, it's all pleasure. It's all experience. So I think that was beautifully done. Maybe it's the fact that Canadians, we have a reputation of being softies and nice and stuff. So maybe that is also reflected, as well as maybe it was intentional a bit to kind of like showcase to the world that like liberation and acceptance is more important than like resistance and judgment and stuff like that. I think it's lovely that the two women, our teammates accepted, then like kind of like poorly react and wanted to stay in their lives and stuff. I think that it's important to spread that message out there. I think it's another reason why people really loved it, is because of that, the acceptance and just like the happy ending, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? Like Shane's worst fear ended up being okay. His parents accepted him, and he's on his way to building a new life and coming out. And that's inspiring. So that was cool.
Benjamin, when did you realize the show was like a hit? Like, what was your like first indicator? Like, oh crap, this is a big thing. Like, this is a big deal.
Probably when I opened my Instagram, one day, like I went to bed on like a Friday, and then Saturday morning, I'm up like 10,000 followers. I have like 40, 50 DMs, people expressing their love for the show and saying how much they hate JJ, and they can't wait to see me in season 2. And I was just like, whoa. And then, going out to the store, and I'm overhearing this group of girls talk about Heated Rivalry. I'm getting ads on my phone, Heated Rivalry watch parties. My friends from theater school are calling me during the holiday, FaceTiming, and suckering me into conversations with their auntie because they're in love with the show. And they're like, hey, I know the guy, he's my friend, and then I went to get a juice the other day at like the regular old juice bar that I go to, and the girl's like, hey, are you JJ in Heated Rivalry? And I was like, snap. Okay, I guess this did really reach all these beautiful people, and it's still a little surreal. Like, it still hasn't really sunk in, I was driving a couple of days ago with my fiance, and she turns to me and she sees I'm pensive, and she's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, it's kind of crazy. I'm in the biggest show in the world right now. That's wild, and it's bold to say the biggest because there's so many other awesome
But
shows.
not incorrect.
It
Not incorrect.
absolutely is,
right?
yeah.
But it's close enough. And there was just such a wave of like gratitude and just kind of like awe of like, whoa, this show really touched so many hearts, and it's so fun to see Canadian art kind of like reach those heights, and Canadian talent to be recognized more and more. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you said, like, I love my like trashy American entertainment too, but I do feel like there's something to be said for it being Canadian on a small budget,
Absolutely.
not having, like you said, a big cameos or like what you're expecting. It's not, a Marvel movie where it's like, yeah, we're gonna see all these actors we see all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a credit to every part involved in the series was working at 100, and I think that's a credit to y'all. Like, came together to do this thing that wasn't, produced by Disney or whatever, and like made
Thank
something
God.
truly fantastic.
Because very rare is it that we have like, not so rare anymore, but let's say like 5 years ago, like Netflix productions in Canada would be few and far between, right? You'd have what happened a lot was big American productions would come here and cast a lot of us in like secondary, third roles and stuff like that. And we would be lucky maybe if one of us kind of like breaks out from that. And so it's cool that Crave came around, started producing some originals and stuff and Canadian content. And the fact that we're capable of being bought by HBO and other international networks and stuff and distributors is actually really cool. I think it's a testament that showcases like what we can do. Quebec has a lovely movie and series industry. It's very French, right? But it's very loved, and those guys are incredibly talented, whether in front or behind the cam. We have some of the best technical teams in the world, and we have some of the biggest directors also. Jean-Marc Vallée, Denis Villeneuve. He produced like so many American shows, and people wouldn't stop to think twice that he's like from Montreal, Quebec. So it's and Jacob Tierney, right? Like, and so many other, like, there's too many to name, right? But it's very cool to be able to start getting more attention and start getting more credibility from the outside on Canadian production. So
Benjamin, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat with us. Let everyone know where they can find you online.
My pleasure. It's been great. So on Instagram, Simply Zen Ben.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we are at the end. We got a few ratings here at the end. Ally of the week. I'll go first to give everyone time in case I didn't pick. I'm gonna go with Hayden. This like sweet dopey friend saying he wants the only friend wanting bird food and being excited to have him over. And he's like, sure, we'll eat your weird food. Cute. I'm charmed. Joe, who's your ally of the week?
My ally of the week is Una Hollander for saying fuck him up the butt and giving Shane that push he needed.
Versha?
I'm gonna go with Svetlana because I think, similarly she clocks Ilya, I think, from the beginning and clocks that he's distracted and all of that.
Fair. Johnny?
I was gonna say Hayden, but I also feel like Scott, just like being the older player, like when he's like, you better not be taking a shot there, rookie or whatever, and just like kind of pushing him outside of his comfort zone a little bit. And then what we find out about Scott is just a really nice like peppering in of who he is in the very beginning.
I agree. Yeah. Favorite scene, Joe?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I think I'm going to struggle every week with this because this whole episode had such a big job to accomplish, because this is our introduction to these characters. It's our introduction to the story, and they fit so much in, and they did so much. And what can I say? My favorite scene is probably, I think, their first hookup. I think it was beautiful. I think it was really romantic and real. It felt so real, and there's so much happened. The acting is so incredible in this show. The subtlety, the writing, everything. So I'm going to say that scene.
All right. Johnny?
The post gym workout scene for me was the best. I feel it's what got me to watch the show. I think that more shows should probably just cut little clips of their scenes and put them on Twitter and see what people think. But just the yearning in that scene alone of like those touches and those feels, I thought were so, a lot of gays are like, this isn't how we do it. That is like the most how we do it kind of thing that I thought. I was like, I'll speak as a monolith right now. We do it like that. Period. So that scene for me.
All right, Versha.
Well, I was going to say first kiss, which I think ultimately isn't my answer, but just because Joe mentioned the first hookup as well, I'll say one of my other favorite scenes is the I might open, I might knock. I love that exchange so much. Yeah.
We're allowed to have doubles because mine is the same as Johnny's. That whole post-workout scene, I really think that's what like hooked me fully into the show, because that is hot without showing anything, with just like looks. And there's a lot of romance stuff that does looks, but I think this is maybe the best yearning I've seen on screen. Hottest scene. Versha, I'm recalling you first.
Shower scene. Yep. Shower scene for me. Again, that eye contact is just amazing.
Yeah. Joe?
I'm gonna say the shower scene as well. Like, oh, please, I want to be in there. And honestly, I don't even need to get wet. I'll sit in the corner. Let me just watch.
Joe wants the cuck chair, just like
I'm pulling up. I'm pulling it up right
now. Johnny?
The after Ilya finishes and Shane thinks that he's not going to be able to finish, and then he does. I thought that was super hot to me.
So, Johnny, I thought you were going to be... I also put the water bottle scene for hottest scene, but I said something else since I already said it. But I do think that's really hot. It's my favorite, but it's also really hot. But then I said this, my second is the shower scene, because I think that's really hot. What grade do we give this episode? And I'm trying to grade it, not like I'm going to give everything an A if I just grade it on like, I love the show.
A+ all episodes, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to grade it in the realm of the rest of the episodes.
Okay.
Ooh.
So just to set the standard,
and there's 6 of them. So.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do think it gets even better as it goes along.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I am a way easier grader with my actual students than I am on this podcast when I give things grades. I'm like, oh, they tried. They'll get a B or an A. So I give it a B+, which is not low. No one get mad at me in the comments, but just because it gets better, even better. Compared to other things, every episode's an A, but compared to everything else, Versha.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I was just going to say A, but in the comparison of like, okay, these 6 episodes, I'll give other ones an A+, and this one can just be an A. But I think B+ works too.
Yeah. Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
Girl, whatever. I'm not playing your game. I'm just gonna give them all an A. I don't care.
Fair,
I'm not.
fair.
Yeah, I'm a joke.
Yeah.
I'd say an A minus, maybe like. It's a real strong start. You know what I mean? It's great, but I say minus because the episode 6 to me would be an A+.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. I am really excited to be covering this show with my love, Joe. This is so nice.
Yes.
If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on all social media platforms at SlayerFestX98. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube, where we do all of our recordings as video, because everything's a video recording now. You can support us on Patreon, where we're going through every episode of Buffy as it turns 25, and we're in Buffy season 5, which makes me feel old that is turning 25. Also going through X-Men the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, all that. We do watch-alongs, hangouts, so any and all support is much appreciated. If you want to follow me, I'm at Ian X Carlos. Joe, where can everyone find you?
I'm at Joe Organa on all social media.
And Johnny, where can everyone find you?
I'm my name, Johnny Sibilly, on all social media as well.
Versha?
I combined, so I'm at Sharma, the first and last names. So yes.
It threw me off what your first name was because I always saw your at.
yes. The first name is Versha, but yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see
you.
you next time. Bye.
Bye.